What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's going to be diving into one of the decks that I found from the World Championships that was kind of like one of the weird oddities that someone was playing, and we're going to be diving into Temur Mill. Mill is not something new that is too standard, but I was thinking with the way the meta's kind of shifted, the more aggressive decks are kind of the more popular / better decks in the format, and a lot of those decks play a lot of cheap spells. I figure it's a good position for Mill to be in when it comes to being in the ladder in that sense, and I want to try, instead of doing the typical Mill deck, I decided to try out this Temur Mill deck by making some alterations to the World Championships list to try to get it a little bit more in line with a best of one format, playing maybe a little bit more spot removal / board removal in the main board, as well as maybe cutting down some of the initial cards that really make this Temur Mill deck work. Overall, the deck list is pretty straightforward in a Temur / Izzet Mill deck. We have the two big cards that really help mill what your opponent is doing. One being Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Mill and the target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library into that player's exile cards with 12 mana value 20 or more, as well as Madden and Cacophony. Those are the two main mill cards of the deck. Combine that with something like a Rune Crab, mill in every time we play a land for 3 cards. We're going to add in some of the fetch lands that came with Streets of New Capenna, allowing us to kind of like instantly search our library for a land card, coming back out onto the battlefield and essentially mill for 6 mana. Then in the late game, if we do draw the card, we play a couple copies of Splendid Reclamation. I know in the World Championship deck, I think they played 4 copies, but like I said, I want to make some cuts to the deck to kind of get it a little bit more in line, and I didn't think, needed to run 4 of these was needed, because just in some instances, if just in case we don't, draw the Rune Crabs, you don't want to have Splendid Reclamation, and you're not really ready to, bring back your fetch lands from the graveyard to the field if you didn't draw a Rune Crab or Rune Crab has been eliminated. So I do think that's an alternative win condition if Rune Crab is able to stay out. Also, the couple of things I added was some additional spot removal, like cards like Strangle. I also added in a couple big scores to help us ramp up a bit, allowing us to discard a card and drawing 2 cards, also creating 2 treasures, which is also very good for the deck, allowing us to kind of get our mana where it needs to be to possibly cast, something like a Galvanic Iteration and then hit it up with a Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and the other typical cards when it comes to Temur Mill. Other than that, we have a couple copies of Fate and Hope. We have the Rune Crabs. We have the Strangles for the 3 damage. We have the Madden and Cacophonies that we can cast for 2 mana, possibly copy, make our opponent mill 16 cards. If we do ever get to the point, we can always kick it, though. Essentially, if we get to the point where we have that much mana, our opponent probably doesn't have a very large library, and it may just be better off just making them mill 8 cards. We got a couple copies of Dual Strike, just allowing us to copy an additional way. We can foretell this card, kind of protect it from any sort of hand destruction or hand removal, which is pretty good. Expressive Iteration as additional draw spell, just allowing us to put a card that we need into our hand, maybe possibly find a land and put into exile, and then throw a card we don't need back into the library. Galvanic Iteration is probably the strongest card in the deck, just because it allows us to copy our next instant or sorcery spell, pretty much allowing us to copy any sort of spell in the deck that we cast, not just the mill spells. If we want to, copy additional big scores, we can go ahead and do that. If we want to cast additional Fate and Hopes, we can go ahead and do that. Other than that, Tasha's Hideous Laughter. We also have the big score, which is discard a card, draw 2 cards, create 2 treasures. We can always discard landfall land in case we can't play it, but we can get it in the graveyard, get it ready for a Splendid Reclamation. Then we have Splendid Reclamation, return all land cards from our graveyard to the battlefield tapped. It doesn't really matter because these lands will immediately get fetched. We don't have to tap them to fetch the lands, which is definitely very good. And a few copies of Burn Down the House, 2 copies here just to deal 5 damage to each creature or planeswalker, just in case we get into a matchup where our opponent's starting to go very wide. Or we create 3 1/1 red devil creature tokens whenever this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target and they gain haste. And then the land base is pretty straightforward. We have 7 islands, 6 mountains, 2 forests, just because, we can draw the green mana source. And we play a myriad of the fetch lands from Streets of New Capenna that pretty much either search for one of the 2 colors, if not 2 of the 3 colors when it comes to that, as there is no Temur one. And there is no sideboard since we are going to be playing this in best of 1, so I thought this was kind of like a decent list to kind of start out with. I may make alterations throughout the video if I feel certain things aren't working, as my playtesting has been kind of limited, but we're going to dive into the rank queue, kind of see how we do, see what people are playing currently. I have an idea that there's a few decks like the Boros Burn and stuff like that kind of make their way up to the top of the meta, and kind of see how we do against those more aggressive decks. With that being said, let's dive in the games and let's see how we do. All right, we're on the play. Hand's okay. We have fetch lands, but we don't have a crab, but I think this is okay to start because we can kind of mill our opponent and kind of see how the game goes. Maybe we draw into a crab. We're also on the play, which is definitely very good. I think we do this and we get a island because that's definitely very good for what we need to do. We don't have that mana source here, so we'll get the blue mana and get that out of the way. Not sure 100% what our opponent could be playing, as we don't have an indication. There's no pet, there's no sleeves, but it looks like it is some sort of mono white, which is definitely not the greatest for us if we don't get any sort of spot removal here. That is kind of the one downfall to our hand. And I think we play this and search for... Man, we're kind of in a weird position, right? Because we don't need green, but we'll get green out and kind of see what happens here. Next turn we could always... Okay, so they're playing Clerics, which is not bad. It's not the greatest, but it's not bad. We could Madden and Cacophony here and make our opponent mill. Just kind of start getting the process going, getting rid of any particular cards. Maybe they need lands. I don't really know. Does seem like it is just a typical Clerics deck. Nothing too crazy there. If we can get one additional blue mana source, that'd be really good. And we just got to make sure we kind of keep them in check, because these will kind of grow and they'll kind of kill us pretty quickly. If we get a blue source, which is not, but we didn't get that, but I am going to cast this. Maybe get a mana. Strangle's good, but we don't have the card. But I will take Strangle into my hand. We'll throw Tasha's back and we'll play the Cabretti Charm. And then we'll play this. Get a mountain. And now we're just kind of hoping just for that additional red source, just because we're lacking the lands currently at the moment. A blue mana source would be pretty good, because you could always Galvanic and Cacophony. If they can't play a Cleric to follow this up, they're definitely in a weird spot in that sense. They got a Cleric. They'll gain some life. We are in trouble here. Not sure what we could draw in this position, just because our mana is a little bit awkward. And that's the one problem I think this deck does have, just based on looking at it, especially in a best of one matchup. Playing a lot of these dual lands does prevent us from playing lands aggressively, and now those are out of the way of a Strangle. That's a couple turns late, but we might as well start fetching. We'll get that additional island. We could big score here and just try to get something going. Our opponent's not at a lot of cards yet. We haven't really milled them this game. We don't have the blue mana to do a Galvanic and a Madden Cacophony. We'll discard a Hideous Laughter. I think we should just Strangle here. Just because we want to prevent as much damage as possible. And this is kind of that bad thing too, where we don't have a crab out and we've kind of drawn a lot of our fetches. And that's kind of one of those other things that, I think the Izzet deck does do a little bit better on, is the fact that it can actually, kind of be a blocker in the early game, prevent some damage as we don't play a lot of creatures. They'll gain some life. They'll put us at 10. That's fine. I mean, they'll probably get rid of the Galvanic Iteration, as I think that does put us in puts them in a weird position. I'm not really sure what we can get here. If we get another Galvanic, maybe we mill a good chunk of their library. That's not going to be it. That's 4 mana, right? So I have 2 mana left over. Don't have an untapped land source. Tasha's we can only do once. And this is only gonna, if we copy it, we'd only whatchamacallit here, we'd only mill 16 cards with it. Yeah, so we kind of got the wrong mana colors even for the fetch lands. I mean, I'm just gonna play this and kind of see how many cards I get. All right, yeah, it looks like they play a lot of bigger things in their library, and I think we probably hit one of them. I think I hit one of their more expensive creatures, so it's Cleric Angels. I'm a little unsure here what exactly is going on. as there's Angel Clerics. And our opponent's just kind of like showing off as much as we don't have anything. I mean, they don't have to really do this. They just swing. But, you know, I guess they want to make a point that they're going to hit us as hard as possible. Not really sure. I mean, they gain a lot of life. Sure. Because might as well just play your hand, I guess. And I actually have... It's a weird... This is a weird card to have, I feel like, in a creature deck. But, all right. Game 1, not so good. We're on the play. This hand's a lot better. We are missing a land that's going to get us their green mana source, but we don't have any of the cards that are going to need the green mana source early on, so I think we play a Maestros. Get that additional blue mana here, because we need 3 blue mana to cast this plus this. So we have the 3 blue, we have the 1 red, which is definitely good. Play the mountain and say go. So we'll kind of see what they do here. All right, looks like they're playing some sort of deck that's going to gain some life. And I don't think we need to worry about life gain in the sense that they're not going to really beat us down. So I don't think we're really pressured to really do anything about the Prosperous Innkeeper, though I may be slightly concerned. It is a citizen. Yeah, I'll strangle. Why not? Just for slow them down. I'm not really sure what they're trying to do here. Maybe they're playing tokens. You know, we only have 2 colors plus a treasure. There's probably a cat oven coming. Would be my best assumption. That's just a card I would assume would be in a deck like this. It looks like some sort of Naya. Maybe Naya humans is what we're playing against. All right, so Naya Flicker. That's not bad. Maybe get rid of the land and try to dig a little bit deeper here and see what we got going on. As our opponent's just trying to play some Flicker. The lands will allow us to, you know, play a little bit more. I could have waited to the end of my turn. Maybe balk them at playing a spell. There's a Chariot. They're going to get a bunch of cats. And they can Flicker the cats. And they're going to Flicker the Chariot, which is fine. We just have to make sure we keep them in check. Because next turn they can swing for like 8 damage. They have 49 cards. Yeah, so I think what we're going to do here is we'll get a Forest. And then we'll Galvanic and we'll Tasha's Hideous Laughter here. See what's up. Just try to get rid of as many of their threats as possible. We may not get a lot just because the deck is probably a little bit more on the mid-range side. As I see in the second one, it didn't hit a lot. But they did get it built about halfway. We can always do it again. It didn't look like we got a lot of lands there. Yeah, it looks like to be a little bit on the heavier mid-range side. And it looks like they're just going to play into just flickering their cat oven and just trying to kill us that way. So definitely something to be careful of. That still leaves me. I could cast that for 6. We're dead on the backswing. That leaves me with enough to get a possible whatchamacallit here to wipe the board, which I think is probably what we need to go for, just because if we don't mill them out, it wouldn't be good. This isn't great. Unfortunately, that is not what I was thinking we needed. Iteration, Hideous Laughter. See what happens. They're 30 cards. I don't think we mill them here, but we didn't draw any sort of way to mill them. They're at 20 cards. They're at 9 cards. Yeah, we didn't draw any. We strangled early, which I feel like could have been maybe something to swing. You know, you have. Well, actually, they don't have lethal here. They only have. That's 8, 12? Are they dead? Do they have burn? I just realized that they didn't kill us. They were off by 1. And they're at 8 cards. So is it game? I mean, we squeaked that one by if it is. But I mean, I guess we make sure that that we got all their cards. And we just make sure. All right. I mean, we squeaked that one by. I mean, by 2. Those fetch lands do help, I guess, because they got us those extra additional life points to survive that extra swing. On the play, I think hand's okay. Galvanics, we have no mill, but we do have a little bit of ramp, and then we can always draw into it. So I think we keep forest, plains, island. Yeah, this is definitely a keep. I think we start off, get a mountain into play. This is the one that gets the mountain, right? This one doesn't get mountain. Correct. Okay, so we get a mountain here, just so we have some sort of spot removal up, just in case. Get that 1 point of life, which is always good. Next turn we can always fetch again. We figure out if we want to go an additional blue source, or we go and get the green source. I don't think my hand's telling very much of. It's playing some sort of mono white. Now is this mono white or is this Boros Burn is the real question. I think we get the island here. As much as I would love to get the green, we get the island. And I think we strangle here. Just in case. They don't play a 2-drop that's aggressive. We end turn. You know, we'll see what they do. Because a 1-2 right now is not very threatening. It is Boros Burn, so we'll see how we do against this. This deck is on the later side when it comes to creatures. That's perfectly fine. You know, I couldn't expect that, I guess, is the best way to put it. But I guess we get rid of this before this grows. And then... I could Maddening Cacophony here, make them mill 8. Might as well just mill as much as possible, getting rid of any good threats out of the way. Next turn I could Hideous Laughter if I don't get an additional land to big score. If I don't big score, then... that's fine. We're gonna swing for 5. This deck is very good. This Boros Burn deck, it's a very, very strong deck. I believe. Currently in the format, it's very aggressive. It's very good in best of 1, of course. We'll get additional red. We'll Hideous Laughter here, just trying to hit as much as their deck as possible. There are 28. We didn't hit a lot. We hit a few cards, and now we just need to possibly not die in the next couple turns. Is kind of the big thing. Or draw... we need 2 cards, which is not going to happen, probably. They spread the wealth. And we're definitely in a bind. Ooh, feels bad. Because, I mean, we could... we could have really used some sort of removal. And it looks like we're just dead, unfortunately. I mean, to think about it, right? When I used my 1 strangle, it was the only card I could, I should have strangled because it would have grown. So, it made the most logical sense. You know, was the Sunrise Cavalier going to come? Possibly. I didn't know at the time. Our opponent's on the play. Hand's good. We have a Galvanic. We have some Rune Crabs. Definitely a decent hand to kind of play. You know, I haven't seen actually a Rune Crab yet until this game, so definitely a good, you know, turn 1. If they have a Strangle, it's not going to be great. Our opponent's probably not happy they're playing Rune Crab. Next turn, we can follow that up with an additional Rune Crab. All right, they don't do anything. We play Rune Crab. We may have a follow-up, but I think we still get priority. Mountain or forest. So they mill 6. Mid-range deck, it looks like. A Shigeki deck, which is not always good. As they can, you know, do Shigeki things. But, you know, we're going to have a nice mill effect here. And they may have removal, because it looks like they do play black. They just haven't played it. No attacks. Next turn, we can Broker's Hideout. We could then Expressive Iteration. I could Iteration first, then Hideout. They got their black source, so they have removal. That is going to be the question here. Stompy's fine. We're not attacking. We're not an aggressive deck. Them milling their library out is good for us. Cacophony's not bad. I think we Iteration first. Let's kind of see what we get. Kind of get the hand filled up. I think we get... Front of the house is not great. I think we get another one of these. This goes back into the library, and I guess we play that, even though we can't cast it. And then we mill them again. Just getting rid of all their good stuff. They could Shigeki it back. It's fine. Yeah, I guess I get a blue source. Because we need to make sure we have the mana for additional stuff. And the Dual Strike, unfortunately, is just going to have to go to the wayside, which is fine. I don't think it's a big deal. It was just definitely one of those things. I think Iteration is definitely better because it allows us to hopefully hit a land, because that's what we want to make sure we hit next turn, because that's another 6. And they're about, you know, less than halfway through their deck, which is definitely good for us. And they're not really doing much here, so I don't know what that means if they didn't get a land. Okay, they got a Chariot, which is fine. Chariot's fine. They got another land. That is good for us. So let's see. What are the plays? So this is a possibility. We could Iteration again. I think we Iteration again. See what we get. That's good. Right, that goes into our hand. Library, and that goes to the wayside. Unfortunately, we don't have an untapped mana source. Just kind of getting rid of their deck, I guess, slowly. And it's possible we could mill them out soon. Additional red would be good, right? I mean, we're at 23 life, so I mean, we could take a couple hits. I'm not really worried about taking hits. No attacks. Say go. I mean, they could attack it with their cats. They could play Meat Hook. I don't know what they play in this style of deck. It'd be one of those things that would be a little surprising, but it's still a possibility. They could also play Obnixilis is a possibility. If we draw an untapped mana source, that's any of the colors that we have in our mana or in our deck, we can Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and their deck actually, I think they're milled next turn because they don't play counters. We can Iteration and Cacophony here and game right there. And their whole library is here. Legit, their whole library. And they're playing like a Jund mid-rangey style deck, which is still a good deck. Sure. That's fine. You're going to probably do stuff. You know, tap maybe your Trophy Stomper is probably what I'd go here with. And Field Trip. It's fine. May not have a forest. It's probably in your graveyard. Nice. We're not going to kill him by burn. I mean, in this position, I don't understand why you do that. Sure. Get additional source that produces a treasure. Block. I think that's their library and just one card. And that probably would have been the one that we would have gotten the green with, which would have been good. Opponent goes first. Hand is... It's not really great. We don't... These are our only two we have in the library. We really don't need them. So I think this is definitely a mulligan hand, just because we're going to be, you know, on the defensive in the early turns until we really get ourselves set up. We're missing red. We wouldn't have green, and we wouldn't have any desire to really play Splendid Reclamations without crabs in our hand. So this is definitely a mulligan. Better hand, missing blue, and no good way to get blue. Wow. Mountain Forest. I guess we keep 6, and I think we ship the iteration and on the hopes that we'll get blue because we're on the draw. All right, tap land. Rip Arunis. All right, I guess we're getting mountains. Digging for mountains. Untap blue source one time. All right, I mean, I can take that, but yet again, still no way to get blue into our deck. I think this is, in a weird way, we get a red. I have another source to get green. All right, our opponent's not doing anything, so this is a way for us to just kind of maybe stall it out until we get the land we need. All right, our opponents can discard at the end of their turn because this game is a bunch of nothing. Awesome. This game is great. Nice. I mean, we do look like we are playing some sort of land destruction. Wow. This game is all right. I mean, I have 4 lands, you have 2, and nothing happened, and I gained 3 life, so I'll take that win. Opponent goes first, but we have all the colors we need, and we can draw an untapped mana source, which would be pretty clutch. And our opponent's playing some sort of cleric class deck. All right, island, right? That is our only one to get an island. I think that's our. It's fine. We'll get an island with this one. I can get a forest and a mountain with the other 2, or an additional island if I need it. All right, bunch of cleric classes. Quab Mill. Yep, just your typical cleric class life gain deck. And that's a bunch of clerics and stuff that benefits us from them gaining life. That's fine. You drawing a card is amazing for us because that just gives you one less card to you know, do something with. And we quab. Oh no. Additional blue is gonna be good here. And we could Tasha's Hideous Laughter almost for milling them, I think, at this point. No tax. Right? They're at 31 cards. Don't think there's a very big cleric that they could possibly play. Maybe 3? It's fine. I will take 2 in the air. I could wait it out and see... Sure. Bolenbach. I could iteration into a Cacophony, which would be 16 cards, puts them down pretty low. I think that's a good play. Okay. All right, opponent goes first. Hand is okay. It's not great. But I think we have ways to draw into stuff, so I think I'll keep. Just hopefully they're not playing something super aggressive where I regret making that decision. 1 mana stall makes me feel like they have either a play or some sort of instant speed react. Okay, so no play. Sweet. Mountain myself. I just played basic mountain. Seems like some sort of like play with fire would be my best guess. Boros Burn. Sure. There's no good play here. I think Millen's the best way to go. They have 5 cards. Other than that, nothing super crazy. Sure. Making mill 8 cards. And yes, they're playing Boros Burn, which I assume probably play with fire in their hand. They do have the old lands, and they're also playing a splash of all the lands. So definitely interesting. We'll expressive iteration here. The hand, a library to the side. All right, so question is here: do I play an untapped mana source, or do I play this and get another mountain? I'm not dead, right? I can get an island too. We're gonna take a nice hit. 6 damage, go down to 9. 9 damage, go down. 10 damage, go down to 5. That's not great. I could copy and bounce, which would probably be the best bet. And they're probably gonna spread the wealth. And if they draw another creature that has haste, they're probably in a good position here to... Sure. Iteration. Find it. Fade and hope. Bounce 2. Mountain, I don't need. Coffin, Hideous Laughter, 41. I have no way to copy it. No. We're at 1. We go up to 2. And that's the play with fire that I suspected they had at the beginning of the game. Boros aggro, good deck. It's a good deck. Hand's good. This is definitely one of those hands I think is good. If they have no good way to kill our crab. We're definitely milling them, and we have a bunch of fetches, so definitely looking pretty good. Alright, looks like some sort of deck that plays white mana. Hopefully it's not you know, like Selesnya enchantments. Still mono white. Angels, that's fine. Angels doesn't have a very large curve, but it has a decent curve. We'll make you mill 6. And just make sure we get rid of all the cards that we don't want you to have. We'll get a mountain. Well, no, we'll get an island here because I already have mountain. And yeah, that's pretty good. And no attacks. Cacophony is a better card against Angels, I think, because they do play up to 5. So it will hit a lot more. Even better. Are they missed? I think they're missing black mana, is my guess here. And we're milling for 12 this turn. I'll be quite honest, these fetch lands plus these crabs are pretty good. Good if I say so myself. And our opponent has no idea we're playing any red, as we've only like fetched blue mana so far. And they haven't played another angel, so like I said, they're in a weird position that their board state is interesting for them as to why they kept the hand. Sure, I'll take 2. And I wouldn't even block if they even offered it, just because of they may play something like a Ganjo, you know. I'll make you mill 8. Just get rid of a big chunk of your deck, and we'll say go. No attacks. And I'll play Iteration next turn just because I already played my land source, and I only have 2 mana open, so there's no point for me to be tapped out and letting a card go to exile. And our opponent's definitely in the tubes. Hideous Laughter would have been good for us. You know, we have Iteration next turn, which also would have been good. Digging for a little bit deeper, maybe again fetch land or something, or you know, if we didn't get if we got a fetch land, probably bring that to hand, or keep it to the side. Probably not play it, and then just actually play additional mana so we could Iteration, Hideous Laughter, and do whatever. So we're on the play. Not bad. We can get our island. Yeah, we can get an island, but we're missing 2 islands, so we'll keep. We'll do this for an island. Just because then we can, you know, possibly coffee next turn. They are playing. It's either going to be mono white or it's going to be Boros. And I think we mill them to find out. And it's Boros. Easy Boros burn. All right, let's hopefully they don't have a super aggressive turn, but you know, they have 7 cards. There's probably a good chance they have a turn 2 here. Aspirant's not bad. You put it on the, yeah, you put it there. Possibly play a 3-drop next turn. This is tough. Tough, right? Because I can Iteration here. I could look a little deeper, see what I get, or I can Hideous Laughter and just straight up mill them X amount of cards, but might not hit enough cards, you know? So I think the turn is to look a little deeper, see what we get. Strangle's not bad. This can go to hand. This can go back in the library. This can go to the side. We play land. We play this on 2/3 or something that's going to just grow. I think we play this here because then their other creatures don't get much larger. There's a thing to be said just in case they play. All right, 2 damage is good. That's we're in a good spot. That is good for us. That's funny that we drew that card. We don't have any crabs, unfortunately. We mill you for 8 again. And I think we keep you know, the Hideous Laughter just in case we get all right, Raiju. See, this is one of those things where we're taking a big swing of damage, right? If we draw, you know, our board wipe spell here, puts us in a good spot. That's not it. They're at 33 cards. A good chunk of their spells are still in the library. We can still iteration and cough and Hideous Laughter, unfortunately. I can gain a chunk of life. Go up to 7. I could look for a bounce spell. That doesn't really help me. I knew we weren't going to mill them. Yeah, we only milled like 13 cards. unfortunately. We needed very specific cards in that scenario, and we didn't have them, unfortunately. On the play, hand is to say the least, is very aggressive with the fetches. Maybe we get a crab, and we have a dual strike. Yeah, we'll keep. I don't know what we're playing against. We probably play something to get a mountain here. It's probably the best bet is to get a mountain, get that going. All right, looks like some sort of clerics, which isn't bad for us. Part of me wants to get that going. And then it also keeps the possibility of us drawing an untapped mana source. All right, so it looks like some sort of Cleric Lifegain deck. This is going to be another deck that we have to kind of hopefully get in front of. Iteration's good. We can Iteration here. We can... And... Library side. Now the problem is I didn't get a red mana source, right? Which is unfortunate. And a part of me is like wondering if I should just gotten the bounce spell, realizing I didn't get a red mana source, and that's probably a misplay on my end. Because now their creatures are too big. So it is going to be one of those things that it's probably going to bite me in the end. As I can't really get rid of what they got going on here. Though I'm not really close to dead, right? The big thing, though, is, like, is there going to be a way for us to kind of slow them down from them kind of going off? Because I don't have an additional red. Because the only thing I could think of in this situation, right, is you dual strike into, like, a strangle or something. We'll end turn. We have double iteration. Untap red source could double iteration strangle. Sure. Fortunately, now Voice of the Blessed is now out of range. Yeah, that's a big hit. We haven't really milled them, so we really need something here. And we're at 6. So iteration into a dual strike into a strangle. And that's iteration into a dual strike, which I think is, and then into a strangle, which unfortunately is not enough. Shouldn't I have had another one? I feel like I missed the trigger, right? We copy a spell. We get 2 copies of Dual Strike. We cast the... Hold on. So we play Iteration, which copies the next spell, which is Dual Strike, which copies another spell, which is mana value 4 or less. So that creates 2 copies of Dual Strike. We cast the Strangle. We deal 3 damage, copies it once. We deal 3 damage again, copies it again, because it creates 2 additional copies. So I should have had a 3rd Strangle, if I'm not mistaken, unless I... That seems a bit weird. I feel like I should have had 1 more. Huh. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I missed something. All right, we're on the play. Hand is not great. It doesn't have anything for our mill synergy, but we're on the play. So maybe we draw into it. I don't know. We've been playing against much more aggressive decks, so I think this is a keep. There's a part of me that says maybe we should mulligan. I guess we'll have to wait and see. All right, opponent's playing some sort of deck. Okay, okay. I'm not in any rush, to be quite honest. So I think we just say go. I could have Cacophony, start the mill engine. It's a possibility, but I don't really know what my opponent's doing. They don't know what I'm really doing other than playing, you know, multiple colors here. Forest Plains or Island. We need another red source for burn down the house, but I think in this position we get a green and we say go. It's possibly they're playing some sort of Esper, but they're being very cautious about how they're playing it. Right? They're playing only Esper from what I realize. Blue-black and dual. Sure. Raffine's fine. I'm not really worried about Raffines, to be quite honest. It's just when they get additional things. I think we discard the Fate and Hope. We'll discard the bounce spell. And we'll say go. The one good thing is in this position, they don't have any haste, right? So this sets us up for a pretty good burn on the house if they don't really have too much to go with. And sure, that's fine. So it's Esper Midrange, but not really doing much. Kaido, fine. Gonna create a 1/1 or draw. That's fine, and it vanishes. All right, burn down the house is good. I think our big problem here, right, is we don't really have a good way to draw. I could burn down the house and just kind of stall. Because I think I feel like if I let Freen get out of the way, I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Don't think they have Spell Pierce. I don't think Esper plays Spell Pierce. If they do, good on them. I'll get rid of the Raffine engine, though. I think that's probably my best bet. Now their Kaido's out of the way, which is good. I'm surprised they didn't play their whatchamacallit here, Tenacious Underdog before and just get him for some damage. Sure. Makes sense. No land? Alright. 1/1. Not a 1/1. They played. Let's just keep Kaido in check. You know, keep him low. Next turn we can set up for a big Cacophony if we tap out for 6 mana. Sure. That's fine. Still draw and discard. You know what the good thing about these these lands are? If I actually, you know, get a bunch in my graveyard, I could always fetch them back. They're also going to draw for that. 16 life is not bad to be on. Discard? I'm assuming it's a discard effect because they drew. I think they're at 8 cards. Yeah, they're at 8 cards. Mountain. So the problem is with Madden Cacophony, right? It's not a very good way to... I can get them down to like 10 cards and they have like no library. I don't have enough. We'll say go. I didn't have enough there. I was gonna do it, and I realized I had 1 mana short because I tapped down for. I played it. I guess I didn't realize. I thought I used the treasure the turn before, which then popped me out less. That's fine. In this position, we can get rid of their Kaido. You know, every time they play that, they'll draw. Sure. I'm at 13. I don't feel like I'm at low damage. Like I said, Splendid Reclamation in a weird way can be a nice little bit of life gain. Build the deck a little bit. Sure. I don't have anything in my graveyard other than lands. You can eat lands. Sure, eat a land. This turn's definitely a burn on the house turn because this is where they flip. Everything gets a little bit bigger. We can get rid of their Kaido. Yeah, you discard cards. You're drawing way too much. Gain a life. We'll get another mountain. We'll burn down the house. And we'll say go. Because the way I think we set this up is we Cacophony with the big kicker. We mill half their library twice, and then we Cacophony them for 8. Though, if we half their library... Wait, hold on. 1624. Huh. We get them down to 12 cards if we were just to play everything straight out, right? Because that's 8 times 8 is 16, plus 8 is 24. If we have Madden Cacophony twice, if we copy it twice, Kaido's fine. You do you. Sure. Ninja. The weird part is they've done a lot to us, and they haven't actually killed us, which is interesting. Can I set this up in a weird way? I can. Let's see if we can mill our opponent. Do they play counters? Does not look like they play any sort of counters. Dual Strike. And Hideous Laughter. And milled? Oh! Ooh. And mill. Alright, it was a little slow, but we got there. And we are back to the deck. Overall, the performance of the deck was pretty okay. I wouldn't say it was anything great. in about 11 games that we did play with the deck, we did finish off with a win rate of 55%. We went 6 for 5. Our toughest matchups, to be quite honest, is the more aggressive Boros Burn style matchups, or just more aggressive decks in general in the format. As even though we do play some spot removal and some bounce spells, it's just not enough to really combat those. Is it possible that if we were to play the Izzet version of the deck, would the deck perform overall better? It's a possibility. It's just really tough to say. I mean, Boros and the more aggressive decks of the format are definitely really tough. Is there anything I would make adjustments for? There's a possibility I'd probably throw in some Snowlands here instead of the basics. Probably turn these Strangles into Frostbites, because I feel like Frostbite hits a lot more of these more aggressive cards in the deck. It's also instant speed, one mana removal spell. I don't know if Fate and Hope does enough currently against the current meta, as it is kind of one of those things that's good in a little bit more of a controlling deck, but is it enough in this deck to get super effective? Definitely tough to say. Unfortunately, we weren't able to really use Splendid Reclamation at all to kind of get that massive Rune Crab, Splendid Reclamation, Ultimate Landfall trigger to go off, but we were able to mill our opponent very well with 2 Rune Crabs, or even 1 Rune Crab out, plus all of the fetch lands that we do have in our deck. If there, like I said, other than that, would there be any other additional changes? I don't think so, but, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I know Mill is not the most exciting deck. I personally, when a deck like this is kind of like a Mimi style deck, I really personally don't like playing it a bunch, but I did want to see kind of how a deck that is built around the more aggressive decks that play low curve does against the current meta that is kind of on that lower curve in the current format. If you like the video, hit that like button. There will be a deck list down below to copy if you guys want to try it out for yourself, make your own versions or make iterations on it if that's how you want to. If you like the video, hit that like button. If you're new here, you want to post new videos on the channel, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video.